Just a note before we get this one underway, if you're watching the freestyle display, you need to be behind the concrete walls by the skid pan. Away we go, Hampton Cup action here at Hampton Downs.
Great to see as they take the mark. Remembering a little bit like our Ctas Cup, but these bikes have got a little bit more horsepower. It's an opportunity to get away. Somebody's had to try and do a jump. Oh, they're lucky they got away with it, because if a jump start ain't going to work, it starts to get embarrassing in the next 1 minute and 40 seconds as the rest of the field starts to catch up. So
Sean White, he'll be kicking himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's stalling on the start line. But the thing we love about, of course, our Hampton Cup is, again, that same principle. All similar bikes, all well controlled. So it's got a technical group to make sure that everybody's on a level playing field. And you've got, of course, young guns that have been great to be involved in our sports. I love seeing this. And a mixture of those. You've got the likes of the Jacob and Jesse Stroud. This is where certainly Jacob cut his teeth in this class. One of those that he'd joined fairly early on the piece. He was supported by Ken and the team at Hampton as well. So great to see. From a racing point of view, Hampton don't have many other series around the world, we understand, but the one in New Zealand here has been a success story to the extent where the Hampton manufacturers have even been to New Zealand to watch the success of racing of the bike. Of course, from a New Zealand point of view, this is affordable and it's great racing, and you're amongst good quality competitors. You can compete in buying one of these bikes and being alongside the others. So great to see. And a huge thanks to Carl Cox Motorsport. What an injection they've made into our motorcycle scene in New Zealand, and for their support in this class has really made it a catalyst, and deservedly Phil in the national championship points around here today. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that to Ken about 2 years ago. I said you guys should be in the national series, and he said, oh no, I don't know about that, and here they are in the series. And we've got a bit of a breakaway, which is unusual in itself in Hampton Cup racing, just waiting for them to head down the little short chute and then onto the sweeper at the bottom end of the circuit. Normally it's as close as what we saw in the Ctas, but one's got away just a little bit here and there. You'll see it as they come up the hill now.
Well, in fact, what can often be the case, if you can just get that little bit of a break, the others then start to sort of move around each other and stop the slipstreams and try and get the advantage. So somebody, you can make that bit of a break and keep away from them. You've made that advantage, and the others actually end up by slowing each other down rather than speeding it up. So look at that as he tucks it behind him. Yeah, thought it was. Looked to be all of someone. I spotted those leathers. I thought it looked to be Jacob. So well done. Jacob Stroud in there, Michael Patchett, Grant Cullen there with Nick Burke, Alex Butson, along with Sean Parker, Sean White in there, Logan Rowell. Man, it's just a freight train as the rest run past. But I'll tell you what, at 2.1 seconds for Jacob, that's a great story to tell, as our Honda Civic RS medic car does its lap and falls in behind them to do that crucial run. You see it now with the Alfa Romeo and World Superbikes. Well, we've got our Honda cars Civic RS right here in New Zealand. Fantastic vehicle, lights are on, but more importantly, it's right there behind those riders. That crucial first lap is just so crucial, and it's where you're likely to have it coming together. So to have a medic vehicle right there on the scene, the officials know it, of course. Should there be anything go wrong, the red flag can go up and out so early, thanks to Honda cars and the awesome Civic RS.
Now, I just wonder, 2.1 seconds, is that a winning break for Jacob, do you think?
Yes.
We mentioned before about the close racing that we've always seen in the Hampton Cup, but Jacob's making a bit of a nonsense of that at the moment.
Oh, well, hey, he's a class performer and he's had a lot of experience. If we're talking about going back to super lights with that the Kramer machine, with the KTM engine on board, or any of the other classes that we've seen him in as well, it's not quite the experience that he's got. This is where he's cut his teeth, even though it's hard to say that for a young teenager, because he is so young. But hey, he's been here and done that in this class. So no, not a huge surprise to see that. In fact, if we remember 2.1, you watch this go to 3, if not 4.
If not more, yeah, absolutely
so
right.
He's out to show us he's a class performer no matter what.
And I see that in that last lap, young Jesse, his younger brother, was through in 10th place. So we'll keep an eye on Jesse's progress as well. But it is the Jacob Stroud show at the moment.
I remember distinctly seeing an example of this, Phil. It was the days of the 250 production class. It was the equivalent of the Suzuki series, which was the big our international series. We went around the Hamilton Garden circuit at the time, around the lake and that circuit, 250 racing, and saw somebody with this kind of lead. When we'd seen 250 racing bumper to bumper, who was the man out in front? John Boot. And John had made a name for himself in road racing. He'd come to a street event, said, I'll go back on the little 250, and everybody said, how did that guy get out front? Must be something wrong with the bike. Hold on, officials. No, it wasn't. It was just a damn good rider on a good bike, and he was well suited to street racing, the little bike, and showing us, he was a very world-class rider at the time. So John Boot was the man who did it, but everybody jumped to conclusions. There must have been something wrong. No, it wasn't. It was just the quality of the man.
You picked it absolutely dead right. That lead's gone out to 3 seconds now from Grant Cullen and Michael Patchett. So Jacob just stretching that. I've got a John Boot story for you. When we were down in Timaru a couple of years ago, he had his very famous or infamous Levi's leathers.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, wow, John, I say, are they the originals one? He said, yes, Phil. He said, you can't fatten a thoroughbred. He said, he thinks his leathers are more famous than he ever was.
Levi's, exactly that. Levi leathers, eh? So, yeah, and that's what, of course, that was the nickname we then gave to jeans. So when people used to go, oh, you raced on your Levi leathers, actually meaning you were in Levi jeans and riding, as many motocross guys like myself were in those days, Phil. And I remember a friend of mine who had actually some leather pants to go motocrossing. They were just unheard of, but he had leather pants, and we had a bit of a competition.
Some leaders or somebody made himself?
Leather pants, and I remember we had a competition one day to see who could fit back inside the pants. He'd had these at least 30 years before that. None of us were in cooey of it, so our bodies had well deteriorated beyond racing in leathers.
I think they call that too much information.
Far too, but there you go. Neat stories, and well, that's what we're here to celebrate. It's our family. These are the stories. They're the people of our sport, and the John Boots, they're just another one of our legends, and good to recognise the talent here today. Hyacinth, well, of course, it's a brand of motorcycle. I had a friend of mine who'd bought one. He then picked up a job. Of all things, he was going from Palmerston North to Taipi every day to work. So visualise that trip upstate Highway 1. What was he riding? A Hyacinth 250.
Wow.
To go, because he was only on a learner licence and couldn't have any bike bigger than that. And he was commuting backwards and forwards every day. We all said, why don't you stay in Taipi? He said, oh no, he's loving his bike too much and was free board at home. He had a Hyacinth 250. He was in paradise. So
moved up a spot. He's got in front of Sean Parker, so there's still some action out there.
I tell you what, the other thing that this class has done, Phil, is that the retail and resale value of the Hyacinth 250s has increased, because with a lot of other smaller bikes you get and lesser known brands like Hyacinth and others, they can often sometimes do a real slide. You buy a new one and then they're worth near to nothing within a couple of years. Well, of course, with Hyacinth racing, they could go from being on the roads to being on the track, and they were still worth good money. So you could never ever find a cheap Hyacinth 250. Think, oh, let's go road racing, we'll grab a cheap Hyacinth. They were more in demand than a parliamentary debate. So great.
I don't know if they're in demand. I know there's way too many of them, but I'm not sure if they're in demand.
So there we have it. Jacob, that massive advantage. Grant Cullen, Michael Patchett, lesser known names, some of these others in racings. But hey, give these guys a Hyacinth, affordable racing, great efforts. I think from memory, Auckland Club, they've been to Taupo once, but all the rest of their racing they've done here. So the Hyacinths have proved to be part of it. No, you wouldn't have them at Pyro or another street event, but man, they've loved this. Oh, of course, they've started in the days when we were at Pukekohe as well, so let's put that into the circuit picture for them. So very competitive and quality small caliber motorcycles.
Well, that lead 3.7 seconds, but the battle is second, third and fourth. Grant Cullen, Mike Patchett and Nick Burke. In fact, I think there might be a change. We'll have to have a quick look as they come through this time round. Any minute now you'll see Jacob Stroud at the top of the hill and putting another lap in the book. In fact, checkered flag getting ready to be waved this time. So it is a flags to lights out to flags win for Jacob Stroud. He makes it look easy, doesn't he? Fantastic, right? Crowd up in the apartments. In second place across the line, it will be Grant Cullen, and then Michael Patchett will go through in third. So we didn't see, I thought we were going to see a pass in that last turn, but it didn't quite eventually.
And did you see where they were? Because the lead rider had moved right off to the side of the track so that the other rider wasn't getting to slipstream. No, he did. He still followed him all the way, but he couldn't put the pounce on. So good thinking that you're not going to be able to get that second place pounce in front of you. So good thinking from Grant Cullen to hold that second ahead of Michael Patchett.